You bought the TV, it looked great in the store, the picture was sharp, the price felt right, and the reviews were solid. Then somewhere around month 14 or 15 something changed. A line appeared across the screen. The backlight started flickering. One of the HDMI ports stopped working. And when you called the manufacturer, they told you the same thing they tell everyone: your warranty expired 30 days ago. This isn't bad luck, it's a pattern. And it happens to millions of buyers every single year across nearly every major TV brand. But here's what most people don't realize: not all brands fail at the same rate. Not all problems show up at the same time. And some of the most expensive TVs on the market have some of the worst long-term track records, while some mid-range options quietly outlast everything around them. Today we're going through the most common TV problems that appear after the return window closes, which brands produce them most often, and what the real ownership experience looks like 2, 3, and 5 years in. If you're buying a TV in the next few months, or if you already own one and want to know what's coming, this is going to change how you think about the purchase. Most retailers give you 15 to 30 days to return a television. Most TV problems don't show up in 15 to 30 days. That gap is not a coincidence. Panel defects, backlight failures, and software instability often take months to fully develop. A TV can perform perfectly during the return window and begin showing serious problems at month 4, month 8, or month 13, just after the 1-year manufacturer warranty expires. Repair technicians have noted this pattern repeatedly. The failure isn't random. Many components are rated to last just beyond the warranty period before stress and heat begin to degrade them. The most common problems that appear after the return window include backlight failure, panel uniformity issues, HDMI board failures, software degradation, and remote connectivity problems. Each one of these has a different timeline, a different cost to repair, and a different likelihood depending on which brand and which panel technology you bought. So which problem hits first, and which brands are most likely to leave you dealing with it? Backlight failure. The most expensive surprise backlight failure is one of the most reported post-warranty TV problems across all major brands. The symptom is usually obvious. The picture becomes dim, develops dark patches, shows clouding in corners, or goes completely black while the audio continues playing. At that point, you're looking at a repair that typically costs between $200 and $400, sometimes more on larger screens, for a TV that may have originally cost $500 to $800. The brands that appear most frequently in backlight failure complaints include Vizio and some TCL lines. Vizio in particular has a long-running reputation in repair communities for backlight issues appearing between years 1 and 3. On Reddit forums dedicated to TV repair and on Yale Appliances published reliability data, Vizio consistently ranks among the lower performers for long-term reliability. Their value pricing is real. Their longevity is not always. TCL is more complicated. Their Roku-integrated models at lower price points carry meaningful backlight risks after year 2. However, their higher-tier QLED and mini-LED models show significantly better durability data. The problem is that most buyers don't distinguish between TCL entry-level and TCL mid-range. They just see the brand name and the low price. Now here's where it gets more interesting. The brand most people expect to be the most reliable at the premium end doesn't always deliver on that expectation. The premium brand Reality Check Samsung is the best-selling TV brand in the United States by a significant margin. Their QLED lineup is heavily marketed. Their Neo QLED models carry premium pricing that can reach $1,500 to $3,000 and beyond. And they do produce genuinely excellent picture quality in controlled conditions. But Samsung has a known and documented issue that affects a meaningful portion of their LCD-based lineup: panel uniformity problems, most commonly referred to as DSC, dirty screen effect, and backlight clouding. These issues often develop after extended use, appearing more noticeably in months 6 through 18. On display forums like AVS Forum and through RTINGS testing documentation. Samsung's LCD panels have shown higher than expected uniformity variance, particularly on their entry and mid-tier QLED models. The more significant long-term concern with Samsung is software. Samsung's Tizen operating system has been noted by long-term owners to slow down meaningfully after 2 to 3 years. Apps take longer to load, navigation becomes sluggish, updates stop arriving for older models. In online owner communities, It's not unusual to find Samsung TV owners who purchased a streaming stick because their smart TV became too slow to use reliably on a television that cost over $1,000. That's a consequence worth understanding before you buy. Paying premium pricing doesn't insulate you from software obsolescence. So if premium Samsung carries real software risk and budget Vizio carries real hardware risk, where does that leave the buyers looking for actual long-term reliability? The brands that actually last according to reliability data published by Yale Appliance, one of the most cited sources for appliance and electronics long-term performance. LG and Sony consistently outperform the broader market in television reliability. LG's reputation is built significantly on their OLED manufacturing. LG Display produces OLED panels not only for their own televisions, but for several other brands including Sony. This vertical integration gives LG meaningful quality control over the component that matters most. Their OLED TVs, particularly the C-Series and G-Series, carry strong reliability records in extended ownership data. Failure rates in the first 5 years are notably lower than the broader LCD market average. However, LG OLEDs carry a risk that LCD televisions don't: burn-in. Permanent image retention can develop on OLED panels when static elements, news tickers, channel logos, scoreboard graphics remain on screen for extended periods. For buyers who primarily watch varied content like movies and streaming, burn-in risk is low. For buyers who leave cable news running for hours daily, it's a legitimate long-term concern. Sony's reliability record is consistently strong. Their Bravia lineup, particularly models using their proprietary processing, shows lower failure rates across both hardware and software categories. Sony also tends to provide longer software support windows than competitors, which matters significantly as streaming apps update and older operating systems lose compatibility. The trade-off with Sony is pricing. You will pay a meaningful premium over comparable LG and Samsung models for equivalent screen sizes. Whether that premium is worth it depends on how long you intend to keep the television, and for buyers planning to keep it 5 to 7 years, the data suggests it often is. But there's one more brand worth examining, because it surprises nearly everyone who looks at the actual numbers. The surprising reliability performer Hisense doesn't carry the brand recognition of Sony or LG. In most showrooms, they occupy the budget and mid-range rows. Their marketing is minimal compared to Samsung, but their long-term reliability data is genuinely competitive. In consumer report satisfaction surveys and in aggregated owner review data from major retailers, Hisense has consistently moved upward in reliability rankings over the past several years. Their ULED and QLED mid-range models in particular show lower reported failure rates than many same-priced competitors. Repair technicians in online communities note that Hisense components are generally more accessible and less expensive to repair than Samsung or LG equivalents. Their software, running Google TV on recent models, benefits from Google's update infrastructure rather than a proprietary system, which means longer app support windows and more consistent performance over time. The catch with Hisense is customer service, when problems do occur. Owner reports suggest that warranty support can be inconsistent and that reaching useful resolution takes more effort than with Sony or LG. The hardware may last longer, but if you do need help, the experience may test your patience. So you have a picture now of which brands lead, which trail, and where the surprises are. But there's one more variable that most buyers overlook entirely, and it may be the most important factor in how long any television actually lasts. The variable nobody discusses: panel technology matters more than brand loyalty. An LG OLED and an LG LCD are not the same product with the same risks. A Samsung Neo QLED Mini LED and a Samsung entry-level QLED are not the same panel. Buying by brand name without understanding what's inside the television is one of the most common and most expensive mistakes buyers make. Mini-LED backlighting, used in higher-tier models from Samsung, LG, TCL, and Hisense, dramatically reduces the clouding and uniformity problems that affect traditional LED LCD panels. The local dimming zones allow for far more precise backlight control, which means the failure mode that affects budget LCD TVs is largely engineered out of the premium tier. OLED panels eliminate backlighting entirely by producing their own light at the pixel level. This removes backlight failure as a category completely. The trade-off, as noted, is burn-in risk and, in some cases, slightly lower peak brightness compared to the brightest mini-LED competition. What this means practically: A $900 mini-LED television from a reliable manufacturer is likely to outperform a $600 standard LED television from a premium brand, both in picture quality and in long-term hardware reliability. Buyers who compare only price and brand are often making the wrong trade-off without realizing it. The software problem that will only get worse, hardware failure, gets the most attention because it's dramatic. A screen goes dark. An HDMI port stops working. Those are visible, concrete problems. Software failure is slower, quieter, and ultimately affects more owners. Every major smart TV platform has a defined lifespan, after a certain number of years. Manufacturers stop pushing updates. Apps stop receiving support for older operating systems. Streaming services drop compatibility. Owners begin experiencing crashes, loading failures, and missing features on hardware that is otherwise perfectly functional. The brands with the shortest historical software support windows include Vizio and budget-tier TCL. The brands with the longest consistent support records include Sony and, more recently, sets running Google TV or Amazon Fire TV operating systems, because those platforms are maintained by Google and Amazon independently of the TV manufacturer. The practical consequence: a Sony Bravia running Google TV purchase today is likely to receive meaningful software support for 5 to 7 years. A Vizio running SmartCast may become functionally limited in 3. Owners on appliance forums frequently describe buying a $30 Roku or Fire TV streaming stick to replace the built-in smart TV functionality on a television that is only 2 or 3 years old. You paid for a smart TV. You're now paying again to make it smart. What the repair technicians actually see: repair communities provide some of the most unfiltered reliability data available because technicians see the products that fail, not the products that don't make. The news? On YouTube repair channels and in professional technician forums, several patterns emerge consistently. Samsung's main boards fail at higher rates than Sony and LG equivalents, particularly in models from 2019 through 2022. Vizio's power supply boards are a frequent repair item, often failing between years 2 and 4. TCL's entry-level models show panel defects at rates that surprise technicians who expect budget pricing to correlate with budget build quality, but not at the rate they see it in practice. LG OLED repairs, when they do occur, tend to be more expensive. Panel replacements on OLED sets are rarely economical relative to replacement cost, but they occur less often. The repair math still generally favors OLED for buyers who intend to keep a television long-term. Sony repairs are described by technicians as less frequent, and when they do occur, more predictable. The failure modes are more consistent, and the parts more accessible than on some competing platforms. The buying decision framework: here's what the data actually suggests for buyers making a decision today. If long-term reliability is the primary concern and budget allows, Sony OLED or LG OLED in the C-Series range represent the strongest combination of panel quality, reliability data, and software longevity. Expect to pay $1,200 to $2.00 for a 65-inch model. If budget is a meaningful constraint, the TCL QM8 or QM7 mini-LED models and Hisense U8 series represent the strongest reliability-to-price ratio available. Both outperform their price points significantly in RTINGS testing and in owner satisfaction data. Budget between $700 and $1,000 for a 65-inch in this tier. Avoid entry-level Vizio for any purchase intended to last beyond 3 years. Avoid entry-level TCL for the same reason. The TCL brand range is wide enough that model selection matters enormously. Be cautious with Samsung's mid-tier QLED models. The picture quality is competitive, but the long-term software and panel uniformity record is weaker than the pricing and marketing suggest. The final answer: the TV problem buyers usually notice after the return window closes is rarely the one they expected. It's not always a dramatic failure. Sometimes it's a picture that gets worse slowly. Software that gets slower quietly. A port that stops working inconveniently. A feature that disappears without notice. The brands that minimize that experience are not always the brands that market most aggressively or price most expensively. Long-term reliability comes from panel technology choices, software support commitments, and build quality decisions that don't show up in a showroom comparison or a spec sheet. The most expensive television in the store is not automatically the one that will last the longest, and the best-reviewed television at the time of purchase may have a very different story to tell at year 3. Buy for the ownership experience, not the purchase experience. If you've lived through a TV problem that showed up after the warranty expired, drop it in the comments. Which brand, which problem, and how long it took to appear. That information helps every buyer watching this make a better decision than the one that cost you.